The great alien meeting room was huge and filled with bright lights that hurt human eyes. Admiral Kang Dae-ho walked slowly into the center of the room where 12 different alien races sat on high chairs looking down at him. His simple blue uniform looked very poor next to their shining armor and strange weapons that floated in the air around them. The room was so quiet that everyone could hear Admiral Kang breathing. Then suddenly, the reptile leader Vextar started laughing so hard that his yellow teeth showed. His laugh sounded like rocks grinding together, and it made the smaller aliens jump back in fear. "You humans think you can sit with us," Vextar said while his long tail hit the floor, making loud sounds. "We have been flying between stars for thousands of years while you people just learned to leave your tiny planet 50 years ago. What makes you think you deserve anything from us?" Next to Admiral Kang stood Captain Lee Sun-woo, who felt his hands shaking with anger. But he kept his face calm. Behind them, Dr. Park Ji-eun held her datapad tighter. She had worked her whole life on a secret project that could change everything, but these aliens treated humans like bugs. The insect queen Zilnara made clicking sounds with her mouth that meant she was laughing too. Her voice sounded like metal scraping when she talked to them. "Look at these soft creatures," she said to the other aliens. "They come here asking us to protect them, but they cannot even fight space pirates. Their ships are made of weak metal and their weapons are like toys compared to ours." A floating ball of light called Lumnos began flashing different colors as it laughed. The light hurt to look at directly, and its voice sounded like music played backwards. "Maybe we should give them a small moon somewhere far away," it said while spinning faster. "Let them build their little houses, while we real civilizations do the important work of ruling space." The crystal beings from planet Shardlon made sounds like breaking glass when they laughed. Their leader, Crystal, spoke with a voice that made the walls shake. "What could humans possibly have that we do not have?" He asked the room. "Better weapons. We have plasma guns that can destroy whole planets. Faster ships. Our vessels can travel between galaxies in just a few days. Better technology. We can change matter just by thinking about it." In the corner of the room sat a creature made of living rock called Rockhan. It was so big that its head almost touched the ceiling. When it spoke, the whole station shook. "Humans are weak and soft," it said in a voice like thunder. "They live for only 100 years. In that short time, we can build empires that span across multiple star systems. They are nothing compared to us." Dr. Park stepped forward because she could not stay quiet anymore. Her scientific mind was burning with the need to tell them about her discovery. "We have learned something beyond your understanding," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Dimensional manipulation. We can open doorways to places where physics work differently. Dimensional manipulation." Queen Zilnara screamed with laughter, making a sound like breaking metal. "Child play. We learned to make portals before your species even discovered fire. Our technology was advanced when your people were still living in caves." The meeting ended with all the aliens voting that humanity would get nothing. No protection from enemies, no trade deals, no recognition as equals. They told Admiral Kang and his team to go back to their small corner of space and stay there forever. As the aliens walked out still laughing and making jokes about weak humans, Admiral Kang gathered his small team around him. Through the big window they could see thousands of alien warships floating around the station. Each ship was powerful enough to destroy Earth's entire military by itself. Admiral Captain Lee whispered, so the aliens could not hear, "We cannot let this happen. Earth will face the void hunters in 6 months. Without help from these aliens, billions of people will die." The void hunters were the most feared enemy in the galaxy. They were creatures that ate entire civilizations and left only empty space behind. Every race was afraid of them, but the big alien powers thought their combined fleets could stop them. Humanity, with only a few dozen small ships, had no chance of surviving. Alone, Dr. Park's eyes were bright with determination as she looked at her datapad. "The Infinite Gate project is almost finished," she said quietly. "We do not need their permission to use it." Admiral Kang looked out at all the alien ships surrounding them. Each one represented a civilization that thought humans were worthless. But humanity had something else. Something that came from their greatest weakness, which was their desperation to survive. "Send a message to Earth," he said in a voice so quiet only his team could hear. "Tell them to prepare the gate. If these aliens want to see what humans can, really do, they will get their chance very soon." Their small transport ship left the alien station while the creatures inside continued celebrating. They had no idea that by trying to crush humanity's spirit, they had actually awakened something that would change everything in the galaxy. The greatest dimensional opening in history was about to happen, and from it would come humanity, answer to a universe that had said no to them. As they flew back toward Earth through the dark space between stars, Dr. Park worked on her calculations. The math was so complex that it made her head hurt, but she knew it would work. The infinite gate would open a doorway to a place where human imagination could become real, where their refusal to give up could reshape the very foundation of reality itself. Captain Lee looked at the alien station getting smaller behind them and made a promise to himself. When humanity returned, they would not be asking for permission anymore. They would be giving the orders, and the proud aliens who had laughed at them would learn what it meant to underestimate the human race. 6 months passed and the galaxy was burning. The Void Hunters had come from the dark spaces between galaxies in numbers that made every alien race shake with fear. Their black ships moved like living shadows through space, eating everything they found. Planet after planet became silent and empty, as the creatures drained all life, leaving only dead rocks floating in the void. On the command ship of the reptile fleet, Admiral Vextar watched his forces fight the enemy. His yellow eyes were wide with worry as reports came in from across the galaxy. The combined alien fleets that had been so proud and powerful just months ago were being torn apart like paper. Sir's communication officer hissed with panic. "The Crystal Third Fleet has been completely destroyed. The Void Hunters are moving toward our homeworlds now." Captain Nam Soo-jin hid her small human scout ship in an asteroid field where she could watch the great battle without being seen. Her ship was invisible to both sides as the massive space war raged around her. The alien fleets were impressive with weapons that could crack moons and shields that could stop the power of stars. But the Void Hunters were something much worse. The enemy ships did not just fight, they consumed. Every alien vessel they destroyed became part of their fleet, twisted into new forms of horror. The proud warriors who had mocked humanity were now screaming for help across all communication channels. "This is impossible," Captain Nam whispered as she recorded everything her cameras could see. "How many of these things are there?" Her sensor officer, Lieutenant Kim Bo-ram, shook her head as she watched the readings. "The numbers keep growing, ma'am. It is like they multiply faster than we can count." Them back on Earth. Dr. Park Ji-yoon worked day and night in the Infinite Gate facility that was buried deep under the mountains of Korea. The massive chamber went on for kilometers underground, filled with technology that bent the rules of physics. Hundreds of scientists and engineers worked without sleep as alarms rang throughout the complex. Her assistant engineer Choi Min-ho called out over the noise. "The dimensional readings are going crazy. The barriers between realities are breaking down across the galaxy. The Void Hunters are not just invading our dimension, they are eating it." Dr. Park hands moved quickly over her control panels as she made final changes to humanity, greatest creation. The Infinite Gate was more than just a portal. It was a doorway to a place where normal physics meant nothing, where human creativity and determination could reshape reality itself. "How long until the gate is ready?" Admiral Kang asked as he entered the control room. His face showed how tired he was from months of preparing Earth for the invasion that everyone knew was coming. 12 hours, Dr. Park replied without looking up from her work. "But Admiral, once we open it, there is no going back. What comes through that gate will change everything, forever." Above them in Earth orbital defense stations, Commander Yoon Hai-wan watched the long-distance scanners with growing fear. The Void Hunters had finished eating the outer colonies and were now heading straight for Earth. Their black ships moved in perfect lines, blotting out the stars themselves, all human fleets. "This is Earth Command," she broadcast to every ship. "Fall back to defensive positions around Earth. Repeat, all ships return to Earth immediately." The response was fast. Dozens of human ships that looked tiny compared to the alien warships they had seen destroyed began their final retreat. But instead of running away completely, They formed a tight circle around Earth, ready to make their last stand. Captain Lee Sun-woo, now commanding the battleship Seoul. Pride moved his ship to the front of the formation. His crew was young and scared, but they stayed at their posts with determination. They all knew they were humanity. Last hope, sir, his tactical officer reported. The Void Hunters will reach Earth in 18 hours. Long-range scans show, Admiral, there are millions of them. As the enemy got closer, something strange began to happen. The space around Earth started to shimmer and bend. Reality itself seemed to be getting ready for something that had never happened before. The Infinite Gate was waking up, and with it humanity was about to show the galaxy what they had built in the darkness after being rejected. The aliens who had mocked them were about to see the birth of something that would make their advanced technology look like stone tools. From the infinite dimensions beyond normal space, humanity, true answer to destruction, was preparing to emerge. Dr. Park made one final check of her systems, as the facility shook from the dimensional energies building up inside the gate. The math said it would work, but no one had ever tried to open a permanent doorway to infinity before, for all the humans who died because these aliens would not help, she said, as her finger moved toward the activation control. For everyone who will die if we fail, for the future of our species. The button waited under her hand, ready to change the universe forever. The battle for Earth had begun, and it was a slaughter. The Void Hunter black ship swept through humanity defense fleet like death itself. Captain Lee Sun-woo watched in horror as ship after ship was consumed by the enemy, their crews screaming across the radio before falling silent forever. Soul Pride to all units, he broadcast desperately, trying to keep his voice steady. Focus all fire on the lead ships. We have to buy more time for whatever Earth is preparing, but their weapons barely scratched the Void Hunter hulls. The enemy ships seemed to drink in the energy from human plasma cannons and missile strikes, growing stronger with each attack. Within just 2 hours, 3/4 of humanity fleet was gone, and the rest were badly damaged deep beneath Earth's surface. Dr. Park Ji-eun's hands shook as she started the final sequence for the Infinite Gate. The massive ring of strange matter began spinning faster and faster, creating a whirlwind of energy that made the air itself scream. With pain, dimensional breach starting, Engineer Choi Min-ho reported, his voice barely heard over the rising noise. The barriers between realities are getting thin. Whatever is on the other side, it is huge. Admiral Kang stood beside Dr. Park, his old, weathered face calm despite the chaos around them. Through the facility communication system, they could hear the death cries of Earth defenders above. Every second they waited meant more human lives lost forever. Doctor, we are out of time, the Admiral said quietly. Open it now. Dr. Park's finger hung over the activation switch. Once she pressed it, there would be no stopping what came next. The math suggested it would work, but theory and reality were very different when dealing with infinite dimensions and powers beyond understanding. For humanity, she whispered and pressed the button. The universe exploded with light. Brightness beyond description filled the chamber as reality tore open like cloth. The massive ring of the Infinite Gate became a window into a place where physics had no meaning, where human will and determination could reshape the very foundation of existence itself. In space above Earth, Captain Lee watched his instrument displays go completely insane as something impossible appeared on his sensors. Where empty space had been moments before, now there was something else. Something vast beyond any words to describe it. What in the name of Lieutenant Kim Bo-ram started to say, then stopped as her voice failed completely. From the dimensional tear, something emerged that could not be described properly. It was not quite a ship, not quite a living creature, not quite a building. It was all of these things, and none of them at the same time. The vessel, if it could be called, that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Parts of it looked solid as steel, while other sections flickered between different states of matter like living energy. The ship was enormous, beyond anything ever built by any civilization. It stretched for hundreds of kilometers in every direction, its surface covered with technologies that human minds had imagined in the infinite dimension. Weapons that fired pure mathematics, shields made of crystallized time, engines that burned possibility itself as fuel. This is impossible. Captain Lee breathed as his instruments tried and failed to measure what they were seeing. No civilization has ever built anything like this. The alien fleets that had been running away from the advancing void hunters suddenly stopped their retreat. On the command ship, Star Render Admiral Vextar stared at his display screens in complete shock, his reptilian mouth hanging open. What is that thing?" he hissed, his voice cracking with disbelief and fear. His science officer, a floating ball of energy, pulsed with confused colors. "Admiral, our scanners cannot analyze it properly. The ship appears to exist partially outside normal space and time. The technology readings they are impossible according to everything we know." Queen Zilnara insect fleet had been fleeing toward the galaxy center when the dimensional breach opened. Now her ships hung motionless in space as her compound eyes tried to process what she was seeing. The humans, she clicked in amazement. But how they are barely a space-traveling species. How could they build something that makes our greatest warships look like children toys? The crystal beings of Shardlan had always been proud of their advanced dimensional technology. But as their leader, Crystal, observed the human vessel, his crystal body actually began to crack with the strain of trying to understand it. "This should not exist," he chimed in disbelief. "The mathematics alone. We have studied dimensional science for 10,000 years and achieved nothing close to this level." From the impossible ship, a voice spoke across all frequencies in the galaxy. It was calm, clear, and unmistakably human. Commander Park Taeyang, who had been chosen to captain humanity' ultimate creation, addressed the entire cosmos to all civilizations currently fighting the Void Hunters. His voice carried across space like thunder. "This is the Earth vessel, Infinite Dawn. We are here to end this threat once and for all." The ship began to move, and as it did, reality bent around it like water around a stone. The laws of physics became suggestions that the vessel could choose to follow or ignore completely. Time moved differently near it. Space folded and unfolded at its command, like origami made of the universe itself. Galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity answered to annihilation, prepared to face the Void Hunters. The same species that had been mocked and dismissed was about to demonstrate why being underestimated was humanity's greatest weapon in their fight for survival. The Void Hunters turned their attention from Earth-dying fleet to face this new threat. Thousands of their black ships changed formation, moving like a living shadow toward the Infinite Dawn. Their alien forms pulsed with hunger as they prepared to consume what they saw as simply another meal to add to their endless feast. Commander Park Taeyang stood on the bridge of the impossible ship, surrounded by technology that existed in multiple dimensions at the same time. His crew of 50 humans worked at stations that flickered between solid reality and pure thought, controlling weapons and systems that they had helped design in the infinite dimension where imagination became real. "All stations report," Ready announced Navigator Lee Ha-na, her hands moving over controls that responded to her thoughts rather than physical touch. "The ship is fully connected with our dimensional anchor. Point Void, hunters approaching attack range reported. Weapons Officer Young Do-hyun. Enemy count is Sir. There are too many to calculate accurately. They are moving like a single massive organism." The first wave of Void Hunter ships struck the Infinite Dawn with weapons that had destroyed entire star systems. Dark energy beams that could unmake matter itself slammed against the human vessel hull. The watching alien fleets held their breath, expecting to see humanity's strange ship torn apart like all the others before it. Instead, something miraculous happened. The attacks simply disappeared. Not blocked, not bounced away, but completely absorbed and transformed into something else. The Infinite Dawn hull rippled like water, converting the destructive energy into harmless light that spread across space like aurora. "Impossible," Admiral Vextar whispered, on his command ship, his yellow eyes wide with shock. "Nothing can survive that level of firepower. We have seen those weapons destroy planets." Commander Park smiled grimly as his ship systems processed the Void Hunter attack and turned it into useful energy. "Return fire," he ordered calmly. "Let us show them what humanity learned in the infinite dimension." The Infinite Dawn unleashed weapons that changed what warfare meant forever. Beams of pure mathematics struck the enemy ships, unraveling their molecular structure according to equations that existed only in human imagination. Missiles that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously hit targets that thought they were safely hidden in folded space. But the most terrifying weapon was the ship ability to impose human concepts onto reality itself. Where Void Hunter ships had once existed now, there were flowers. 1,000 black vessels became a garden floating in space. Their dark hunger transformed into gentle beauty by humanity. Refusal to accept that destruction was the only possible outcome. Status report, Commander Park requested. As his ship carved through the enemy formation like a sword through paper, Sir Tactical Officer Kim Sun-young reported with wonder filling her voice. We have neutralized 30% of their fleet. The remaining Void Hunters they are actually retreating. It was true. For the first time in galactic history, the Void Hunters were pulling back from a battle. Their perfect formation began to break apart as individual ships fled in all directions. The cosmic predators had met something they could not consume: human creativity given physical form and unlimited power. Park Ji-eun watched the battle from Earth Control Center, tears streaming down her face as she saw her life work succeeding beyond her wildest dreams. The dimensional readings are completely stable, she reported to Admiral Kang. The ship is maintaining perfect connection with our reality while operating on infinite power sources above Earth. The remains of the human defense fleet hung motionless in space, their crews unable to process what they were witnessing. Captain Lee Sun-woo, Tactical Officer Lieutenant Kim Bo-ram spoke for all of them when she whispered, "Captain, are we really seeing this? Did we actually build something that can fight the Void Hunters as equals and win, not as equals?" Captain Lee replied softly, watching as more enemy ships transformed into harmless objects at the Infinite Dawn touch. As their superiors, the alien observers were even more shocked than the humans. Queen Zilnara insect fleet had stopped fleeing entirely. Her thousands of compound eyes focused on the impossible battle taking place before them. How she clicked in complete disbelief. How did they advance so far beyond us? 6 months ago they were begging for our protection like children. The answer came from an unexpected source. On the crystal ship of Christel, their most advanced scientists had been analyzing the human vessel energy signature. What they discovered would change their understanding of the universe forever. My queen, the lead scientist, chimed in amazement. The humans did not just build a more advanced ship, they built a ship that exists primarily in a dimension where their imagination has physical power. They have created a vessel where human determination can literally reshape reality according to their will. The implications were staggering. While other species had focused on advancing their technology, within the normal laws of physics, humanity had found a way to go beyond physics entirely. They had built a ship where human will was the ultimate weapon, more powerful than any force in the known universe. As the Infinite Dawn continued its systematic dismantling of the Void Hunter fleet, the galaxy began to understand a terrible truth. Humanity had not been weak when the aliens rejected them. They had been preparing. Every moment of mockery had driven them to reach further into the impossible, until they emerged with power beyond any civilization, understanding, or ability to match. The species that had been dismissed as primitive were about to become the galaxy's greatest force for change, whether the established powers wanted it or not. The universe was about to learn what happened when you pushed humanity too far. The transformation was complete, where the massive Void Hunter fleet had once darkened space with their evil presence. Now there was only beauty. Millions of enemy ships had been converted into gardens, art installations, and peaceful monuments to human creativity. The greatest threat the galaxy had ever known was gone, neutralized by humanity's refusal to accept that destruction was the only answer to any problem. Commander Park Tae-yang received urgent communications from across the galaxy. As the Infinite Dawn hung motionless in space near Earth, the same alien leaders who had mocked humanity 6 months earlier were now desperately trying to contact him, their proud voices reduced to begging. Sir Communication Officer Yoon Ji-ho reported, "We are receiving transmission requests from all major civilizations. They are requesting immediate audiences with you. Commander on the bridge. Main display. Dozens of alien faces appeared at the same time. Admiral Vextar reptilian features showed clear fear, while Queen Zilnara insect form trembled as she tried to speak. The crystal being Crystal flickered with colors that meant extreme distress and panic. Humans. Admiral Vextar spoke first, his once proud voice now reduced to a whisper. We wish to discuss terms. Immediate terms of surrender. Terms for what? Commander Park asked calmly, though everyone could hear the steel in his voice and the anger he was controlling. Queen Zilnara. Mandibles clicked nervously as she replied. Terms for our complete surrender. Terms for mercy. We understand now that we have gravely misjudged your species and your capabilities. The floating energy being Lumnos, who had laughed at humanity. Weakness now pulsed with dim, fearful colors that hurt to look at. We formally request asylum under human protection. The Void. Hunters may return with larger fleets and only your vessel can stop them. Dr. Park. Ji-Un watched from Earth Control Center as the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy begged for humanity protection. The irony was almost painful to witness. These same beings had refused to help Earth when the Void Hunters were approaching, and humans were facing extinction. Admiral, she said to Kang Dae-ho, who stood beside her. They are offering us everything. Complete technological exchanges, territorial concessions, trade agreements that would make Earth the center of all galactic commerce. Admiral Kang nodded grimly, his face showing no emotion. And 6 months ago, they would not even acknowledge we existed as intelligent beings. The massive stone creature Rockhan, whose voice had once shaken conference rooms with its arrogance, now spoke with the humility of a frightened child, begging for help. Humans, we offer our deepest apologies for our previous misunderstandings. We wish to make amends for our treatment of your diplomatic delegation. Captain Lee Sun-woo, still on the bridge of Seoul. Pride shook his head in amazement as he listened to the alien transmissions. His crew worked quietly around him, processing the complete reversal of galactic power structures that was happening before their eyes. Sir, his tactical officer reported long-range scanners show alien fleets throughout the galaxy changing course toward Earth. They are all coming here. It was true. Across thousands of star systems, the proud fleets that had once dominated space were now racing toward humanity, small corner of the galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as beggars seeking protection from the species they had dismissed as worthless. Commander Park allowed the silence to stretch for several long minutes before responding to the alien pleas. When he finally spoke, his words carried the weight of humanity's newfound position as the galaxy most powerful civilization. 6 months ago, he said quietly, Admiral Kang Dae-ho stood before your council and asked for simple recognition, not domination, not tribute, not special treatment, just acknowledgement that humanity deserved a place among the civilized species of the galaxy. The aliens shifted uncomfortably at the reminder of their past arrogance and cruelty. You laughed at us, Commander Park continued, his voice getting colder. You called us weak, primitive, insignificant. You told us to return to our small corner of space and stay there while the real civilizations handled important matters. Kry's tail crystal form actually cracked with shame as he admitted, we were wrong. Terribly, completely wrong. Your species has abilities that make our greatest achievements look like primitive tools made by children. We know this now. Queen Zilnara added desperately, her voice full of panic. We see that humanity possesses power beyond our comprehension. We throw ourselves on your mercy and beg for your guidance and protection. The energy being Lumnos pulsed with what could only be described as terror. The other Void Hunter fleets are still out there in distant galaxies, much larger fleets than what you just defeated, without human protection. All of our civilizations will fall. Engineer Choi Min-ho, monitoring the situation from Earth Command Center, turned to Dr. Park with wide eyes. Doctor, they are right. Our deep space sensors are picking up more Void Hunter signatures moving toward this galaxy cluster. Much larger fleets than what we just destroyed. The truth was becoming clear. The Void Hunters they had just destroyed were only a scouting force sent ahead to test the galaxy defenses. The real invasion was still coming. And every species in the galaxy knew that only humanity now had the power to stop it. As alien ships continued to arrive in Earth's solar system, all of them broadcasting messages of complete surrender and desperate pleas for protection, humanity faced a choice that would determine the future of galactic civilization. They could be the merciful protectors the galaxy needed, or they could remind these proud species exactly how it felt to be dismissed and abandoned when facing extinction. The decision would define not just humanity's role among the stars, but the very nature of the civilization they were about to inherit and rule. 1 year later, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. Where once dozens of separate civilizations had competed and fought for dominance, now there was a unified federation with Earth at its center. The planet that had once been ignored and mocked was now the beating heart of galactic civilization. Admiral Kang De-ho, now bearing the title of Supreme Human Representative, walked through the corridors of New Geneva Station, the massive space facility orbiting Earth where the Galactic Council now met every month. Through the transparent walls he could see ships from every known species arriving for the assembly. The irony was not lost on him. The same chamber where humanity had been mocked and dismissed now served as the center of a new order, with human representatives holding the positions of greatest authority, while former galactic powers served in secondary roles. Dr. Park Ji-eun, now director of dimensional research for the entire galaxy, reviewed reports from across. Space Admiral, she said as she joined him at the observation deck. The latest Infinite Gate construction is ahead of schedule. We will have protective installations around every major world within 2 years. Humanity had not simply hoarded their dimensional technology for themselves. Instead, they had shared it freely, but always with human oversight. Every species now benefited from dimensional shields and weapons, but only human crews could operate the most advanced systems that required imagination to function. Any sign of the main Void Hunter fleet? Admiral Kang asked as he watched the alien ships arriving. Our deep space sensors show them approaching the Andromeda Galaxy, Dr. Park replied. Commander Park fleet will intercept them there next month. The Infinite Dawn was no longer alone. Using the knowledge gained from their first dimensional breach, humanity had built an entire fleet of impossible ships. Each one was crewed by humans who had trained in the infinite dimension where human imagination could reshape reality itself according to their will. Captain Lee Sun-woo now commanded the Busan Hope, one of 12 dimensional vessels protecting the galaxy core worlds. His old ship Soul Pride had been upgraded with technology that made it more powerful than the alien dreadnoughts that had once seemed invincible. Sir, his new tactical officer, Lieutenant Park Soo-jin, reported. We are receiving the monthly tribute shipments from the Reptilian Empire, the Crystal Consortium, and the Insect Kingdoms. The word tribute felt strange, but that was what it had become. The alien civilizations did not pay because they were forced to, they paid because they were desperate to maintain human protection. Every species had seen what happened to worlds that faced the Void Hunters without dimensional shields. In the council chamber, the same beings who had once ruled the galaxy now sat in secondary positions, offering advice and resources to their human protectors. Admiral Vextar, his reptilian pride, long since crushed, served as Minister of Military Coordination under human oversight. The Outer Colonies report complete success with the new dimensional defense grid. He reported respectfully to the human council members. Your protection has saved 17 worlds this month alone. Queen Zilnara had become Minister of Agricultural Development, using her species' knowledge of life sciences to help human terraforming projects. Her tone was always respectful now, when addressing the beings she had once dismissed as insignificant. The food production increases continue to exceed expectations, she clicked happily. Human leadership has brought prosperity beyond our previous achievements. Commander Park Tae-yang appeared on the main display from the Yor Bridge of the Infinite Dawn, currently patrolling the galaxy edge for Void Hunter incursions. His crew had become legends, humans who could reshape reality with their will, protected by technology that existed in multiple dimensions. Council members, he reported calmly. We have eliminated another Void Hunter probe fleet near the spiral arm. They are testing our defenses, but our dimensional weapons continue to prove completely effective. The watching aliens nodded with relief and gratitude. They had learned that humanity power was not just technological, it was philosophical. Where other species accepted the universe limitations, humans insisted on breaking them and creating new possibilities. Carter Park stood to address the assembly. Her words, carrying across the galaxy through instant dimensional communication networks. The next phase of expansion will begin soon. She announced, "We are ready to extend our protective grid to the satellite galaxies." This brought excited responses from species, whose distant colonies had been living in terror of void hunter attacks. The crystalline being Crystal chimed with gratitude, his broken crystal form still showing the shame of his species' past arrogance. "Humanity generosity knows no bounds," he said. "Formally, we pledge our continued service to the Galactic Federation under human leadership." As the session ended, and the alien representatives prepared to return to their worlds, Admiral Kang remained at the observation deck watching Earth turn. Slowly below the planet that had once been humanity prison, was now the capital of known space engineer Choi Min-ho, joined him now bearing the title of Chief of Galactic Engineering Admiral. "Do you ever regret how things turned out?" "The other species, they are completely dependent on us now." Admiral Kang considered the question carefully. Below them, transport ships carried human administrators, scientists, and military personnel to every corner of the galaxy. The species that had mocked them now competed to host human colonies and research stations. "They made their choice when they rejected us," he said. "Finally, we offered partnership, they chose dominance. Now they have learned the difference between ruling through fear and ruling through necessity." The galaxy had indeed learned its lesson. Humanity, dismissed as weak and primitive, had become its unquestioned rulers, not through conquest but through the simple fact that everyone needed them to survive. Every species now understood that, in a universe where void hunters could appear anywhere, human protection was the only thing standing between them and complete extinction. As night fell over Earth, the lights of 1,000 alien embassies twinkled below each one, a reminder of how completely the balance of power had shifted. The beings who had once considered themselves humanity's superiors now existed only because humans allowed it, grateful for the protection of the species they had foolishly underestimated. The universe had taught its most arrogant children a lesson they would never forget. Never mock those who have nothing left to lose, because they might just find a way to take everything you have and reshape the galaxy according to their own vision of what civilization should be.